Hi, I am Brianna Bowling, and I want to thank you for joining us today. I'm the founder of Retreat and Learn, and we are very lucky to have with us Rachael Aberle, who is a block therapist and is joining us from the Bahamas. So thanks. Hi, Rachael.
Hi, thanks for having me, Brianna.
Oh,
Brianne.
thank you. Just as a note, before we get going, I do want to let everybody watching today that if you have any questions while we're live, please post them in the comments and we will answer them while we are live. If you happen to be watching the replay, you can still put your questions in the comments, and I'm sure Rachael or myself or somebody's going to reach out and answer those questions for you. Today we're going to be discussing block therapy. And to be honest with you, I don't know anything about it except that it sounds very intriguing. Because I don't know anything about it, we're going to probably go a little bit longer than we usually do. Usually these are about 10 minutes. We're probably going to go about 25 or so. I don't know exactly how long. It's live, so we're done when we're done. And so you guys are along for the ride because I want to learn more about it. You're going to learn more about it. In case you don't know too, Retreat and Learn, we host retreats at our waterfront farm where you get to both learn and have a chance to relax and decompress. Right now, we are not able to have our live retreats, sadly, because of the COVID-19, but we still want to bring you information that can be helpful. And right now, we're all feeling a lot of anxiety. We're all feeling a lot of stress, and our bodies are reacting to that. And so it sounds like, and I'm going to learn more along with you, that block therapy might be helpful in solving some of the reactions our body are having to that anxiety and stress. So I want to learn more. I'm hoping you learn some more. And so I really want to thank you today for joining us, Rachael, and teaching us a little bit more about block therapy. So to start off, real simple question, what is block therapy?
Okay, so block therapy is a self-healing technique, self-care system developed by Deanna Hansen. And we use a block buddy, which is this, which I'm holding now against my abdomen just to help me calm down a little bit because I'm a little nervous about doing the interview. So what we do with the block is we decompress fascia, which is blocking blood flow to our organs, to our cells. We bring the body back into proper alignment so that we can increase the flow, the blood flow, the energy through the body.
Okay. So, there's a lot of things that do that. Obviously, massage does this. A lot of different things kind of help with those things. So what's so special about having a block? And in particular, I believe you said that it was a cedar block. What's so special about having cedar and having to use a block?
So cedar is closest in density to the average human bone. And what we do is we get on this, we actually lie on this, and we get right to the bone so that we can unstick the fascia from the bone. It helps with strengthening the bone because the stress on the bone stimulates bone growth. So since we're the same density to the average human bone, the cedar, it's a perfect relationship to, and the body reacts and it's just a great material. Also, it's been used throughout the centuries in healing modalities, cedar, burning cedar, and also, it's just a great material. And it's made of wood. Wood, it comes from trees. Trees give us oxygen. We give them carbon dioxide. So our cells have that. Our cells actually calm down. We feel that vibration of life itself.
All right. So I wish we had smell-o-vision. I could probably, there's some lovely smells alone just in Bahamas because you guys are much warmer than us. And I'm sure you're having all kinds of spring smells that we're not quite getting yet here. I'm in a sweater. You're in a nice short sleeve shirt. That alone tells me a lot. So cedar in general, I know usually has a very nice aromatic scent that, that is relaxing. Does that block actually smell like cedar?
Yes, it does. It smells amazing. And we use sandpaper on it occasionally to clean it and just get rid of the oils that tend to accumulate from use. And then the smell comes up again to the surface so strong and it's beautiful. It's just so calming when you get on it.
Okay. So, I'm going to ask you a couple more questions about the block. So where do they get this block? Can they use any block or is it special? Is it a special size? Is there a reason?
So they're specially designed. Deanna Hansen has a carpenter that it took many years to actually get the right dimensions and the curves, the rounded edges so that you can get into the armpits. You can get under the rib cage, you can get in under the clavicle and on the face, all in the grooves of the body, so that you don't actually poke yourself.
Hmm.
And you can get right in wherever you need to go, and it's just very calming, and it's comfortable, even though it's solid wood. That the rounded edges make it seem soft.
That makes sense. And actually, cedar does have kind of, I don't want to say a softness to it, but it just naturally feels, it's not soft, but yeah, I know what you're talking about, exactly what you're talking about. It has kind of a molding, welcoming wood.
Definitely. And grounding and comforting. I mean, I'm holding it right here to my belly right now as we speak.
And so what does that do for you? When you have hold it up to your belly, what is that making you feel like?
So it's grounding, it's comforting. This is like the center of the universe here at the navel. This is where we originate. We all of life comes to us through the belly button. So this represents life itself, oxygen. And so
Okay.
it carries the vibration of life. And so when I hold it to my abdomen, it's just like an energetic communication, like an exchange that it's hard to describe. But when my children are feeling anxious, when I'm feeling anxious, literally I have them put the belly block to the belly, and it's just like the most calming thing I can do at the moment.
That's really interesting. And I think the belly is kind of like your center. I know that like my daughter, when she was a child, maybe this is related, maybe it's not. I'm going to probably throw something in here, but when she was an infant and she was not feeling sad or how kids get, they just get discombobulated and they need comfort. She would actually hold her hand to her belly button. And I wonder if it's somewhat related, who knows, but
Absolutely.
we do things.
This is where we store a lot of stuff in the abdomen. Our abdominal organs are here, our lymph nodes, the majority of our lymphatic system is here. And so this is like a second brain. Like, might as well have two brains. The digestive system is. And so when we have restrictions here, blocking energy and blood flow, then any kind of energy that we can give to this area is beneficial, including just your hand. Yeah.
Very cool. Now, and one of the other things too that you mentioned is that the block therapy helps with breathing and opening up your diaphragm and strengthening your diaphragm. So can you talk a little bit about, I guess, why is that even important? Why does it matter to strengthen your diaphragm?
So basically, our most basic human need is oxygen. And the diaphragm is the muscle that is responsible for bringing in oxygen. And the majority of us have diaphragms that are stuck up in the rib cage and weak, and we are breathing only here, shallow breathing. So what happens over time, because of gravity, improper posture, shallow breathing, grieving, trauma, all these things and fear cause the diaphragm to get to weak and stuck up in the rib cage. And so using the block, we strengthen the diaphragm. It's like lifting weights for your diaphragm, especially in the belly position and on the diaphragm itself. And it's the only way I know to strengthen the diaphragm, besides another technique, which Deanna Hansen also developed to show us how to strengthen your diaphragm if you don't have a block. And that's actually on my website, iloveblockTherapy.com.
So if somebody doesn't have a block, how do they strengthen them? Is there a way they can strengthen your diaphragm with that?
Yes. So there are several different ways. You can use a book, or you can use a bag of rice. I used to like to use a bag of rice. You lie on your stomach and place this under your belly, the book or the bag of rice, or a rolled up towel, and you breathe deeply. Inhale and push the belly out as big as you can, and pull the belly in as you exhale. And I was just in line at the grocery store yesterday, standing there for about an hour, and there was a man behind me, and he was very friendly, chatting away, and I was reading my book, and then he'd start talking, and then I'd put my book down and chat back, and then it was like this constant communication for about an hour. And then finally I closed my book and I said, "Would you like me to teach you how to strengthen your diaphragm?" Yes, please. It's a true story. And so I said, put your hand on your belly. So Brianna, you go ahead and put your hand on your belly.
Okay, I am. I'm gonna put it on.
So breathe through your nose and inhale deeply. Okay. If you find, like this gentleman did, that your belly is moving in or not moving at all as you inhale, this is what we need to change. This means you're only breathing to here, and you're not getting deep into the lungs where the majority of your oxygen receptors are. So what we want to do is, as you inhale, we want to push the belly out as far as you can, like as if you're pushing into your hand as you breathe in.
Mhm.
And then when you exhale, you're going to pull the belly in as if you want to touch your spine, and exhale slowly and twice as long. I like to say inhale for 4 seconds and exhale for 8, at least 6 and up to 8. And then
Right.
when you get to the end of that breath, just give it one more squeeze the belly and pull it in one more time before you inhale. And what this does is it lifts the diaphragm to massage the alveoli at the bottom of your lungs. And then as you inhale, the diaphragm moves down to massage your abdominal organs. So this is a way of just bringing the awareness to the diaphragm. And then you can actually strengthen it by lying on something and breathing, or you can lie on your back and have someone push their hand into your belly as you breathe into it, pushing their hand away. And this is beautifully demonstrated in that free class that I have on my website by Deanna Hansen, and also her book, Decompressing Fascia, The Missing Link in Self-Care, is also there on the website with it.
Okay. Very good. At the end, I'm going to make sure that everybody gets your website address. We also will put it in the comments so that people can find it. Actually, I do also think it's on the little ticker going down at the bottom. So if you're looking for any of that information, it's right down there too.
Yes, thank you. And just before I forget to mention, along with the description of block therapy, it's an exercise, a meditation, and a therapy all in one practice. So the exercise, as I mentioned, is for the diaphragm, to clean the lungs, increase the blood oxygen level, and strengthen your immune system. The meditation happens naturally. It's the most powerful meditation that I've ever experienced because it's mechanical. You're not saying, okay, mind, be quiet, mind, be quiet. It happens because we're toning the vagus nerve, which passes through the diaphragm. So as we are pumping the diaphragm, the vagus nerve attaches to all the organs. And when we tone the vagus nerve, it switches the parasympathetic nervous system on, which is rest and digest. And this is where healing occurs.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it seems very multifaceted in that, that if you're exercising the air, then, all these things. And as you were talking too, I know we were talking about the diaphragm going in and out. I was in the choirs and stuff in college and in high school. And that's one of the things they talked about was making sure that you're taking full breaths. It sounds not only would this be beneficial in terms of helping people with the anxiety and the stress and everything that people are feeling, but probably singers would probably benefit from block therapy as well in terms of strengthening their diaphragm.
Oh, yes.
Musicians.
Definitely. Singers, athletes, divers, free divers. I mean, my husband likes to free spearfish. And one day he was out in the boat with his friends and they're like, dude, why are you staying down so long? You're like down there. It's because he's been doing block therapy and his lungs are much more efficient at the oxygen intake. I don't even like to go out in the boat anymore while he's diving. He just stays down way too long.
He's like a fish.
On the fish.
Right. Yeah, that's a little scary. I would imagine there's, the other benefits too, and that if he's more relaxed and generally knowing that he can do that helps too in terms of being able to stay down longer. So that's actually pretty interesting. You've mentioned two things that actually I should have asked you probably at the beginning because I keep meaning to, and then we get on to some other topic. You mentioned fascia and the vagus. Is it vagus nerve?
The vagus nerve, yes.
And I don't know what either one of them are or what they do. And you mentioned kind of that the vagus nerve touches all the organs, but I guess one at a time. First, what is the vagus nerve? And then after that, let's talk about the fascia as well.
So the vagus nerve is the 10th cranial nerve. And again, it passes through the diaphragm and attaches to all the organs. When your vagus nerve is toned, then your body knows how to find homeostasis, or your immune system is strong. I'm convinced that a lot of medical issues are simply because of a weak diaphragm, and as a result, a vagus nerve that might be out of alignment or not strong or not working properly. And then we're stuck in that fight or flight where the body is constantly in that sympathetic state.
Right. Okay. All right. No, that makes sense. And then the fascia, what is that exactly? What you're doing.
Fascia is so fascinating because it's a brand new organ. It's just been recognized in the medical world as a system, as an organ. It's the organ of emotions and proprioception. So this is why block therapy is so effective of releasing stored emotions. This is one of the possible side effects, or called a healing crisis. You can just start crying and you don't know why. The great thing is you don't need to know the story. So the fascia, back to the fascia, it's our body's internal web. It's like, imagine a spider web going all throughout the body. It's a communication system. Healthy fascia is meant to be fluid and flexible so that the organs can move around, and it's between all the layers of tissue. And so your body is meant to go like this inside. And what happens is, over time, because of different life experiences and also gravity, the fascia gets stuck. There's no longer any blood flow. Nerves are being compressed. The organs are being stuck out of alignment. The cells themselves can get stuck and lose their space. So everything has fascia around it, from the cells all the way up to the bone. Fascia is everywhere in the body. It's like our scaffolding. It's a light conducting material also. So what we do with the block is we release those fascial grips, and it creates space where we've lost it over time. Space for flow, space for energy, space for quiet, space for like the space between. I'm not explain it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great explanation. And I think that really did help. I mean, you've convinced me that definitely there's a lot of benefits to block therapy, right? I mean, it's going to help us mentally. It's going to help us physically. It's going to help us breathe better, make us better athletes. There's all kinds of great things. The one thing I guess it would be helpful, and I don't know if this is even possible to do, and I probably should have told you before we started talking, is there something that maybe you could show us? Like, I know it's hard right now because we're on a little tiny webcam. Can you show us how you do block therapy just a little tiny bit?
Sure, I can show you without even getting up. Okay, I can take a block here, and I can put it, like, I'm going to put my camera down so you can see right here. I'm going to put it right between my eyebrows and just rest it right there where the pineal gland is, and where like the third eye or that chakra is right there. When we have tension here, we get headaches, our vision gets impaired, and we just feel tension here. That's one of the things that I can do. I can also put it on my cheekbone, just rest it on my cheekbone and tuck my chin down a little bit, I can go onto my ear, I can go on my chin, I can go on my temple, right at my desk. Also, when I'm traveling and I'm on the plane, I put my tray table down on the airplane and I just rest it here. Or if I'm against the window on the airplane, I tuck it right here and I just rest my cheek and my chin and my neck, and I'm like in heaven. And before I know it, we've landed.
That's pretty nice. So I'm assuming that when you're doing that, like when you're putting it onto your forehead, you're letting it sit there for a certain period of time. Do you do it until it feels good, or is there a specified amount of time?
So you're good at asking questions.
Because I want to know.
Thank you. So recommended time is at least 3 minutes to give the body time to heat up, to give the fascia time to melt, so we can release those restrictions. And we combine that with the diaphragmatic breath. So that's the key, that's the missing link. So I could just lie on it like this, and that's great. That's just amazing. But when I combine it with the diaphragmatic breath, which is like the engine that could, that is what kicks the heat, turns up the heat inside the body, increases the oxygen levels so that the fascia can release and the blood flow can come back. And there are specific classes online that, like, for the face, like you can do a class online with the block on the face and it's look like you have a facelift.
That'd be nice.
Yeah, it's one of the
great. And so you look good, you feel good, all these good things. So you said the recommended time is 3 minutes. I mean, is that you let go even if it doesn't feel right, or if it maybe needs longer, do you typically just go until it feels the right amount of time?
Absolutely. You can't be on it too long. Like, as long as you follow your breath as your guide, your breath is your most reliable guide. And that means if it's ever too painful to breathe, then you lift up until you can breathe again. And, you can stay on it for 3 minutes, or you can stay on it for an hour. It's all depends on how long you have and how long you want to be on it. And, I have it always next to my bed. I start every day on my block on my bed for at least 5 minutes. Sometimes I'm up for an hour just lying there on my block. Anytime I'm not sleeping, but in my bed, it's under me, on the couch, watching TV, at the desk with it between my legs or holding it to my belly.
Okay, that's pretty. And do you sometimes just focus on one area? Like you just focus on your face sometime, or just on your back, or do you always have to do the whole body each time that you start?
No, you can go anywhere, and what we recommend that you start on the belly first for 5 minutes, so that you start the engine, you heat up the internal body temperature, and you get the diaphragm going. We want to engage the diaphragm, strengthen it, and get the body ready to heat up and then melt and create that space. So the diaphragm really is the boss. The diaphragm, refer to it as the diamond in the rough. That's my new way of describing it. The diamonds are always there in the earth somewhere, but they don't shine. They don't really, the brilliance doesn't come out until you polish them. So this is like the diaphragm. It's there, but we don't really thrive until we actually strengthen the diaphragm, exercise it.
Yeah, I mean, it's all very interesting to me, especially, and I told you when we first started this, I was purposely not looking up any information about it because I really wanted to be able to learn about it along with our the people watching the video. So I really appreciate you kind of, I guess, humoring me in all my in-depth questions. So thank you.
Thank
So
you.
right now, I know before you were teaching live classes and you were able to kind of, you had a retreat recently in February that you taught block therapy. How are you teaching, or how do you plan to teach right now? Or, now that you can't be face to face with people, or is there a way to teach that?
Well, thanks to my block therapy support team, thank you, Deanna Hansen and Wendy for supporting me on this. I'm going to switch over to Zoom classes. For me, that's quite a hurdle because this is all. I'm like old school. I'm the typical old school.
Right.
So once you see me teaching Zoom classes, you got to be so proud of me because it's been a road to get there. So yeah, that's my plan, is to do Zoom classes, and then again more retreats in the future with Dr. Gwen Shaeda, my retreat partner from Renew Recharge. Retreat. Hi, Gwen.
Yeah, no, Gwen's great. Gwen is actually one of the facilitators at our September retreat coming up. So love Gwen. Gwen's been just a really awesome person to work with. So she's our connection. She's how we met each other. And so I appreciate Gwen for that too. So you also, a couple more things. I know I told you it was going to go quickly, and it has. We're moving right through this time really quickly here. You had mentioned that there's a book available on your website. Can you just tell us a little bit about that and how people might access it and how it might be beneficial to them?
So the book is called Decompressing Fascia, the Missing Link in Self-Care. And this really is the missing link in self-care, because the fascia system is your body's, this is how you get the blood flow. Like that, when that fascia grips and twists and holds you out of alignment, you get pain and disease. So we want to reverse that and learn how to decompress that fascia and give the organs and the cells space again to do their job. So this book was written by Deanna Hansen, the creator of block therapy and fluid isometrics, and it's her story of how she developed it, and it's full of testimonials. The testimonials that are in that book are mind-blowing. They're really amazing, and I have many testimonials too, personal and through my clients, that I'm going to write my own book too, I think. And I like to refer to it also as my way of like, life is like a roller coaster, and
Yes.
it's okay to be on a roller coaster, but you want to wear a seatbelt. And so the block is like my seatbelt on the roller coaster. And it's also, I refer to it as like a first class ticket on a Lear jet. The destination is wellness, peace, and happy cells.
Very cool. So, all right, so they can get it on the website. I'm sorry I'm looking away, but I wanted to make sure we were going live. Occasionally that doesn't happen, so I wanted to make sure. And we are going live, so that's great. So welcome to everybody who is watching. One last question. When I was on your website today, I was poking around a little bit, and I saw something called Block Therapy University. What is that?
So that's a virtual learning center. It's where we learn how to become instructors and block therapists. And we are we are looking for more people who want to join our tribe and bring light to the world and help people heal and strengthen the diaphragm and get back to health. Health is it's really important. Self-care is really important, especially now. I mean, who wants to go to the hospital now? You can take care of yourself for most things with the block. Of course, we don't recommend that you stop your medication or stop whatever practices that you're doing already. But with the block, you can actually enhance whatever you're doing already, work together with your doctor, and increase your body's chance of survival and maintain homeostasis.
All right.
And not just survival, but thrive.
Yeah.
We're thriving.
What is homeostasis?
Okay, so homeostasis is your body's innate wisdom to stay healthy. So your brain is constantly scanning your body for information on what it needs to do in order to fix things, like maybe you need a little bit more of this over here, maybe your liver needs a little bit more of that, maybe your stomach needs a little bit more acid. So each time you take a breath, your breath is scanning your body for that information on how to keep a balance, like stay balanced and healthy and not going too much extreme one or the other. That's I think that's how to explain it.
No, I think it actually ties back to what we were talking about at the beginning when you were talking about how one of the best places to put the block was actually on your stomach. And I told you that my daughter naturally wanted to hold her stomach when she was upset. And so that's probably exactly what you're talking about. I think children have an innate ability to know what they need better. We've kind of turned that off. So
absolutely. And I recognize this when I would hand this to children, and their first reaction is to pull it into the belly, and then they smell it. That is 90% of the reaction that children do. And adults, sometimes they do that, but most of the time they just go straight to the nose. But it's amazing. I love to witness that. It's so cool.
Right. Yeah, if only we'd learn some more from our children. And we turn off some of that, and we're afraid of what people are going to think, or we're afraid that somebody's going to look at us funny, and we maybe smell it and we put it down real quick because, what if somebody thinks I'm crazy?
Yeah.
And children don't have that. They don't have that filter.
They don't. And I'm getting there. I'm getting back there to not worrying about what people think.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, if I stand in line at a grocery store and say, would you like me to teach you how to strengthen your diaphragm?
Right. That is good. Well,
of course, I did it within the 6 feet distance.
Of course.
Safe.
But that's the thing. You can teach it from there. You just taught it to me from the Bahamas, and I'm here in Maryland. So
yes, and that man, I'll never forget his eyes. They popped out of his head. It took about 10 minutes for me to teach him how to breathe properly. But once he got it, he was so thankful, and I felt so good that I actually was able to help somebody in this way. I just helped this guy increase his chances of having a longer, healthier, happier life, because that's a weak diaphragm that's stuck in your rib cage. You're going to be more susceptible to depression, anxiety, respiratory ailments, and diseases that that could have either not come at all or at least come much later in life.
Right. Yeah, I agree. It's been so. You talked about helping him. I think that you've probably just helped quite a few people who got to watch this video today. So I appreciate you taking the time to share that, because I think so many of us, and you and I included, you and I had talked about this earlier today, we're feeling the anxiety of, what is our future going to hold, and what's tomorrow, and are we going to get sick, or is someone else that we love going to get sick? And so that's a lot of anxiety. And so anything we can do as and I appreciate all the knowledge that you're sharing to help people in that. So thank you very much for doing so. Is there anything that you want to add before we finish up our talk here?
Yes, and thank you for asking. So it is, we are living in a state that is extremely stressful right now, and we have a tendency to let fear be the driving force. So this is a way of switching from fear to love, self-love. Loving, we have 75 trillion cells approximately that they love us unconditionally. They survive, they exist just to support us. So this is a way of loving ourselves back. And there's also a way of addressing pain in the body. It's a pain management system. And I just recently moved from one apartment to the next. This is the 7th time we've moved since the hurricane. I moved heavy boxes, water makers, and so I had my lower back was just a little bit like upset with me for doing all that. And I just did the butt, all things butt series that is on the membership site right now. And I tell you what, last night I lied in bed, and at midnight I'm like, no, this is my lower back, this isn't happening. I got up and I did the all things butt class. It's only half an hour. And when I went to bed, there was no pain. My lower back was like melted, just melted into the bed, and I went straight to sleep. And then this morning I did it again, the second part of it, and took a hot bath with peppermint soap and ate my sprouts. I'm good.
Good. Yeah. Self-care is super, super important. I mean, that's we all have to keep doing so. So I appreciate you spending the time with me. I mean, I think it's been immensely helpful. I was very excited to learn about block therapy and what it does. So I've asked people, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comments. Rachel's going to be able to see those. She'll be able to answer any questions you have. And certainly go to her website for more information as well. It is iloveblockTherapy.com. It's also in the comments at the bottom. So I think that probably much wraps up our day. I do want to let everyone know too that next Friday we are going to be having Satyam, who is the owner of Renaissance Yoga, who's going to be also sharing some insights on how we can relieve stress via yoga and meditation. So I'm looking forward to that interview too. That's next Friday at noon. So Rachel, I really want to appreciate every time that you've spent with us and all of your knowledge and expertise and your lovely spirit as well. So thanks so much.
You.
And we will be in touch soon. Thanks.
I can't wait to meet you in person.
Yeah, me too. I'm coming to the Bahamas.
Yes.
See you soon. Bye.
Okay. Bye. Thank you.